one of y'all niggas really?
You know that I don't care, even when people stare. Your love's so good, I share. Do it, baby.
What's crazy about you, woman? I think she's a Pisces. Baby not a Pisces, though. Baby's not passive. Peace to you, human families of the planet Earth. You're now tuned in live to Super Heru Radio. I'm your host, Aseer the Juketeers, along with my co-host, Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years, all of the Super Heru family. Everybody, man. Love and light to you. Thanks for tuning in. There's so much to get into in so little time, and also so little patience, just due to some of the things that go on behind the scenes of getting this thing done. No, I know I put them here because the dog chewed it. Hold on, guys. Let me get the wife straight.
Okay.
Watch you
Sure,
step in.
I'm sorry.
So, like I said, long story short, we want to give thanks and praise to everybody that has ever supported Super Heru Radio and those people who don't support it, meaning those people who, you know, check us out or whatever, who check for us, listen to us every week, but then when our name came up in other ciphers and shit, they act like they don't know who we are or we so loud or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how it is with Negroes. Every week is some new shit. And if you don't always put yourself in it, you won't even know.
Or if you don't put yourself in it or align yourself with the same negative energy, people think that something's wrong with you. Why don't you be down with the same grimy niggas? Like, I don't really want to. And even if those grimy niggas have graduated to be great people, I still remember them being grimy to me, so I don't necessarily want to put myself behind an illiterate when I know how to read. But camera two is it's the same thing for people that sometimes call that have questions or need help with nationalizing. Not to say that we don't want to help, but for you or for people to assume that a seer's time is just here to be for them, for free, it's kind of crazy. Yes, the prophet did say that nationality is free, but you've got to understand that we're not charging people for nationalizing or for nationality, because if a seer were to, it would probably be more than than what he's allotting, or especially like the $25 weekly classes. I try to not look at what other people are doing, but I'm going to say that I did go online and look at a couple of people's websites after listening to what has happened to some people that we've counseled. And if you're willing to spend $3,000 on documents that you don't even know what they look like, just based on the promise of them coming, then it shouldn't be difficult to compensate somebody who's answering all of your questions about how to nationalize and who is willing to walk you through the process. If you don't want to pay, then figure it out for yourself and figure out how. And what I mean is, if you don't want to invest and show reciprocity and appreciation for those that are doing the work and have created the streamline, then you do not have to. You can create your own streamline and your own how-to and do it yourself. But if you want to have help with someone that has navigated it well, if I was seeking that help, would be humble enough to know that whoever did get that far should be compensated for their time because they were able to do something that not that many other people have figured out. And in saying that, is to say that it's great. You want to help everybody. But as the quote-unquote cock blocker, what I'll say is that it's very difficult for anybody to be excited to help people for free every day when they can't eat, pay for their own. This is not it's not a hobby of a seers. It's become something of a job. But if we don't value his work ethic and his job, then we can just say, okay, well, do this for us, and then work at Blockbusters, and then work at, Chase Manhattan Bank. That's not his talent. So he's not going to work at Chase Bank because that's not something that he does. What he does is teach history. So if you go to a history class, if you're in school, you do pay your professors and the school to learn. So why is it difficult for people that are calling him for help to be like, oh, I need your help, and by the way, the prophet said nationality is free, so I hope you ain't going to charge me for your time. Who does that? A beggar nation, and which is what we are not supposed to be. So what I'm trying to say, and when I do say I'm the cock blocker, Aseer can't always do the work, disseminate the work, schedule his time, and then ask people for what it is he's supposed to. He's supposed to have a little help, kind of like a sidekick, a little secretary, or someone that can help schedule all his time. That is something that I've tried to do, not successfully all the time, but what I do want to say is that it's not fair. If I go to a yoga class, I pay the teacher to show me new postures, and I pay the teacher for the time. So, I don't go to the teacher and go, look, well, I'm here. So because I'm here and I'm special, you should just do this because yoga is the breath. And you don't tell somebody else how to do their job. And if you're doing that, then you do the job that you're telling them how to do. You just do it yourself. So this is also why, like, thinking about how many people must have seen me as something of a threat when they do want to see Aseer. When Aseer does do other things in the future, I'll make sure to know that there's a lot of insecure people that are coming around him. Obviously, this is what it is, because if people are stating that, they'd rather just deal with him when we're a family, what that says to me is that there's some interest in separating the whole and separating us. But when you don't see me someplace, don't assume that there's something wrong in our relationship. What I'm going to start doing is to back up and knowing that there is nothing to fear, that Aseer will be fine, that he can navigate all of the superfluous energy that exists around him, and there'll be other energies there that are backed that can help him, collect money at an event, tape the event while he's speaking, not steal the tapes, not give him water that has spit in it. Shit like that. Like, you don't think that there are not people out there that don't want to do what he's doing and want the people to forget that this man is what started it, and he's the one that made history sound cool and palpable and something that everybody could teach and say. Let's not forget that. There are people that are out there that are evil. I don't focus on the evil, but if I didn't at all, I might just get taken over by it because I'm so just in the positive zone, in the positive light, that I'm not aware of somebody plotting next to me. As a New Yorker, I'm always been aware. So in being aware now that part of the reason why Aseer might not be asked to go places is because people don't want to deal with me, don't worry. I'll stay home with my son and be thankful. But what I do say is that, that's the reason why. All right? So much love to everybody that doesn't have this huge ego, that isn't insecure to talk to somebody that they like when that person is sitting next to their mate. It's like, I've never met somebody that I've wanted to meet and go, oh, well, he's with Samantha. Let me not go talk to him because he's sitting next to Samantha. If I want to speak to him and I have pure intent, then there should be no harm in talking to him next to Samantha. But if you do have lower realm issues, you do have other agendas that you hid from yourself, you're not going to want somebody that can make game around you. All right. Good night, y'all.
Hey, and that was the Empress giving us some words of wisdom, and this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of why I don't want so-called black men, black women, Moorish men, Moorish women holding each other down. I already got it. Moorish women and Moorish women together, Moorish men and Moorish women together, because in the end, we are here to hold each other down. That's why the Creator created men and women to work in tandem or hold each other up or just be a support system when the rest of the world don't want to be supportive to you. Like, this is what we supposed to do. Like, I grew up in a community. Like, I grew up thinking that yeah, but, I mean, she feeling like I told her, I said, look, man, if somebody got to tell me something and they can't necessarily say it in front of you for sake of, let's say, private information, like counseling, life coaching, that's something different. But if it's just some regular shit on a bill or whatever, and you feel you can't talk to me because Selena's standing there, then you don't need to talk to me. Vice versa. Like, if you feel like you want to talk to Selena, but you feel like I'm a cop like that from happening, like, come on, man. That's not reality. It's way too much power, and you're not giving yourself enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, people with this knowledge shit I'm seeing is that people are putting people on pedestals that they don't really deserve. You know what I'm saying? And then you got people who are really striving to do the work or whatever and really putting themselves out there to do it properly or as properly as they can, and they're not being supported. So what does that say? It says that there's a disconnect somewhere in our community in terms of how we accept the information, how the information is disseminated, and unfortunately, it's basically also still predicated on who's giving the information. You know what I'm saying? So if I don't like this person, you know what I'm saying, then I'm not going to listen to what they're saying because they're not going to be this or not going to be that. Now, in some instances, that can be true. You know what I'm saying? Some instances can be true. However, there's an old saying that says that your enemy is sometimes wiser than your oldest friend. You know what I'm saying? And what's really going on is just that, is that you got a bunch of people who are feigning and acting like they're really about this thing, but the deeper they get into it, the more they see the work that goes into it, and then it's trying to skirt in the rails, trying to figure out a way around getting shit done properly or for people in the proper fashion. I've been doing this a long time, man, and what I'm trying to see is that unless you are demanding from the people what it is you want, the people ain't going to respect you in doing what it is you think you're supposed to do. Real talk. So when the Bible says that a workman is worthy of his hire, or one of the old black sayings is, what they say, don't cast your pearls of swine. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are adages that didn't just come from nowhere. This just came from a point where in our collective society that we are not functioning as men, women, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives. We're basically just walking around here as basically lifeless, listless corporations that really don't have no name, and then only time the corporation becomes an instance is when somebody get hurt by it. Is when somebody get hurt by it, or somebody's been put in a position to be outside of themselves with it. Like, we're going to do it. When are we going to have enough of that? When are we going to have enough of that? When are we going to put ourselves in a better position to be able to rise above everything? You know what I mean? And not get so caught up in this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see none of that happening. Okay. So, you know, and building on shit and seeing how shit is progressing, like, this is basically why a lot of the holdup has been. A lot of things have happened recently, you know what I mean? A lot of people, like one of the brothers who does lectures out here that I met back in the days, you know what I'm saying, by the Underground Railroad and shit, he just wound up getting caught up in some whatever. I don't want to speculate on what it is. I don't want to get into what it is. I don't want to say. All I want to say is I don't wish incarceration on nobody. You know what I'm saying? The only person that needs to be locked up is this crazy beast that's in this working these so-called world governments. But ain't nobody locking them up yet. So until they start locking them up wholesale, I don't think nobody should be locked up. Real talk. Yaqub did not build prison houses for his people. If somebody violated the law, they paid for it with their life. That's just how he did it. Now, people would think that that's exacting or that's draconian, but really, let's look at what's going on in prison. At least the person's not being raped and tortured, right, and sold, right? You got slavery, you got extortion, you got everything that's in the hood in jail. And then when brothers and sisters actually come out of the joint, they put them in regular society, no rehabilitation, no job prospects. You can't be around no criminals because you could get violated, but everybody in your building most likely got out at the same time you did. So everybody that's not functioning in a proper person technically is a criminal to the United States. Not because I say it, But that's how they deal with everybody. Remember, United States Congress in 1998, I believe, sanctioned and put forth that the United States is an open battleground. It's a war zone. Well, no, that's not true. A battleground is different than a war zone. A battleground is what the area is declared prior to and during the actual conflict. A war zone can only be a war zone after the war has been declared by both parties. That's why the United States ain't declared war on nobody since World War I, but they've been fighting wars ever since 1779. You know what I'm saying? They only declared war once in their history. When we do the knowledge to history, we know that the United States never declared its own independence from Britain. The United States didn't do that. In order for the United States to declare its independence from Britain, it would have to be a country already, and it was not a country. That would be like Brooklyn seceding from New York. Long Island seceding from seceding from New York. You don't do that. So that means that there had to be a government here prior to all of this. See what I'm saying? Again, always showing you. So if these people were so paid and these white men were so rocking out here, whatever, and they just had a means to enslave everybody, right? And everybody listened to what the white man said, and the white man, who was basically a slave himself to George and all that, he basically could do whatever he wanted, right? And he came through with 3 ships with Columbus and killed over 100 million people, all from 1492 to 1493, right? That's what they told you in school, right? In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, brought 2 Indians and 3 jigaboos. That's how the nursery rhyme went, right? For those that heard that one. Well, it ain't happen like that. You ask a Moor when or who started slavery or how did the Moors start slavery and all that. These niggas don't know. A lot of them don't know. They'll talk about the effects of slavery, chattel slavery. They'll talk about all of that. But if you ask them who and how did it start, who started it, why, what was the instance? If it was our country, how did we wind up becoming the slaves and they becoming the slaves, becoming the masters? How did any of that happen, right? You ask the gods and the earth, they'll talk about somebody named John Hardy Hawkins that docked in 1555. You know what I'm saying? With the first flock of indentured servants that was on it, that was leaving Granada. The indentured servants was another name of the deposed Moors who were getting kicked out of Andalusia, Granada, Cordoba, Malaga, Cardoza, Cadiz, what else was they in? Toledo. All of that. So these indentured servants, okay, let's go back to the actual date. The date, get your pens, and there are people who may already know this or whatever, but get the date, get the pens, and let niggas know. Because I'll tell you this. Well, I'll tell you this first. So, the guy's name was Anthony Johnson. And Anthony Johnson existed in a place called Northampton, Virginia, in about 1654. His family had always been in Virginia, which means he was an Autochthon. He was a Moor, right? He had an indentured servant named Robert Parker. And Robert Parker, who was an indentured servant, meaning, again, he was a deposed Moor who wound up in an indenture and was now trying to work that off to make bread to either go back for the campaign over there or basically set up shop over here under the original national government. Because at this time, the only slaves are those of the Slovenian ancestry that are locked up on the plantations and the colonies in the north. the so-called Southern slaves or the slave system in the South or whatever was totally different back then. Most of the indentured so-called, there was no slaves like that. They was indentured servants that came over here on behalf of the British getting them out on the good ship Jesus, right? So the idea was to break these Moors. So in 1654, when Anthony Johnson come through, he got Robert Parker. Robert Parker wound up working off his whole indenture. So he was basically free. Anthony Johnson didn't agree with that. Well, according to the story, Robert Parker was like, what the hell with you? I already worked this out. I worked this off for you. I'm out. And then bounced. The story says, the history book basically says, that he then went to go work for a free white person named Robert Castor. I may have it reversed. I may have it mixed up where Robert Castor is actually the indentured servant and then Robert Parker is the free white person. But either way, all three names is accurate. And the slave owner was Anthony Johnson. So now we got Anthony Johnson, who is the Virginia planter, right, from 1654, Northampton. Then you have the indentured servant, the deposed Moor, right, Robert Parker. And then you got a free white person, meaning that this dude was probably an indentured too at one time, worked off his thing or lost his nationality somehow, whatever, but was able to maintain his land. He's a free white person. So these are three black men. These are three Moors, three melanated beings who exist in the country that existed before the United States. This is 1654. They didn't declare independence. We didn't declare our independence until 1775. They didn't get their so-called independence for their own country until 1791. This is before everything. So think about this. This black man, Anthony Johnson, took this other black man to court to prosecute this other black man, which means then that these is all black men, or these is all Moors dealing with this, right? Right. Which then means the people in the court that they going to is Moors too, right? Right. They got to be. What happens is this guy actually wins the suit. So they decree that your man, Robert Parker, got to go back and be this dude's slave now indefinitely. Indefinite servitude. You see? Now, this is the first time in this hemisphere like that a so-called black man was legally able to enslave another black man, to enslave a black man as a slave now, meaning as the way we enslave these Slovenians. Not just as somebody that's coming in. We're basically reducing this more into this status of indefinite servitude, which is what we got these slaves under. So that means if he's under that, he's basically on the same level now as these so-called international white slaves that we've been trafficking back and forth from time immemorial. That's just now getting some light and some civilization enough where they can travel into other Moorish dominions and not be enslaved themselves, so long as they have letters of marque, M-A-R-Q-U-E, from a specific Moorish state or principality. So now do the knowledge to this. This is 1655, man. How many of y'all Black History Month ever heard of him? Keep it real. Mostly nobody. But I bet you if you ask a KKK member who Anthony Johnson is, he know. Because they claim him. You understand? So from that point, that's when they start switching over and start making laws now where no more Indian, free white person or anybody or Hindu or whatever can own any Christian slaves. Christian slaves meaning those who are under the cross, right? Meaning those who are brought forth from across the waters, right? represented those imported slaves and stuff like that they was bringing back and forth. The indentured servants were in the southern areas, whereas the straight-up slaves was in the north, was all up top. The Virginia planters, when they talk about the planters class, they talk about they talk about Moors, black men who owned white people in mass, who owned them. That's the class that Lincoln's mother came from. That's why he could be president. So like I said, with this indenture being worked off and them now trying a way to perpetually enslave Moors or black men, now it's okay for one type of black man to own another one over here, when from time immemorial that was illegal. That wasn't something that people really did. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't something that niggas was doing, you know what I mean, to each other like that. But this guy, Anthony, was so gung-ho about or so goddamn lazy that his idea was to set this thing up where he now could own this other indentured Moor, because this Moor found himself in an indenture, being descended from one of those who was expelled from Grenada and all of that. And this was how a lot of Moors was coming over here to their relatives and shit and getting hooked up. But they couldn't just be here for free, because a lot of them was still at odds with the Christian government. The Christian government that kicked those Moors out of Grenada was not white. There was no Caucasian men doing that to us. That was us doing that to each other. Let's really keep it real, man. And let's take the hood off this nigga, because how I'm really understanding this thing, this dude came into this whole thing late. He just lucked up in on the brutality on niggas. He only been brutalizing niggas for about maybe about 150, 175 years, maybe. Himself, up till then, he was getting help. But it was so many of them that was corrupt. Now they was nominating these crackers because some of these crackers had more nobility than these dirty Moors. So when I say I'm a Moor, I'm not denying the fact that Moors own slaves and own and help traffic slaves and shit all over the world. The same way if I say I'm a black man, I'm not denying that there are still black men that's out here selling drugs, pimping women, pimping bitches, and all this other shit. But I'm not doing that. I'm not that type of Moor to do that. I'm not that type of black doing that. So you can't lump me in with that just because that's what you see these other niggas doing. People give this cracker way too much power, man. They give him way too much power, man. And then he just used that to just box him up. He got you now. He got you. You believe that he's God. You believe that he gave you that his version of Jesus' shit is the version. So this doesn't absolve any Moors. And when I talk about Moors owning slaves and shit like that, I'm not trying to say that that's dope. I'm not bigging it up like that's some shit we need to be doing. But I'm a realist. And somewhere, somebody put out the idea like Moors don't know how to fight. Like we ain't never been in no conflict, or like we just, this is why you think the Prophet came up with the most rudimentary aspects and tenets of the so-called faith. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. Because Moors was not practicing that shit for a couple of 100 years. You understand? He wasn't dealing with none of that. The only reason why, son, let's keep it extra funky. The only reason why anybody got any 3 books or anything today is because of the Moorish Empire and the Chinese. White man told you, nah, in Africa they didn't write books and nothing like that. Then you see the hieroglyphics and you say, oh yeah, well, those pertain to the people at the time. They just did that as a means to Okay. You know what I'm saying? I can ask right now, I can run up on the illest Pan-Africanist right now, be like, yo, son, name me like 12 kings of Africa. He could bust all them down. Word, son, bust down 12 queens of Africa. Right, okay, bust down 10 kings and queens of North Africa. Niggas would draw a blank. And one of them, because most Pan-Africanists I know is from America. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, they all are.
What the fuck is that?
Like, Africa's great, but I've only been there once.
Right, or I've never been.
That's great you've been there once, niggas like who's the people?
Exactly, nigga. Like, you ain't adopted into no tribe out there.
No, that's where we be to the land. So then let me see you with your land out there.
First, show me how to do it. Like, I'm ignorant when it comes to that. Show me. Go to Liberia. Go to these places. And show me that you live in there. Right, they just there to tell me to go there. That's right, Queen. That's fucking right.
That's called a realtor.
That's
okay, niggas. That's a fucking real estate agent working in a different state. It's like having a real estate agent in Jersey talking about, yo, move to Maine. But bitch, you ain't never been to Maine. The fuck you give a fuck about selling Maine to me?
Exactly.
Because Maine is where I get most of my commissions from. And when I get people to rent in Maine, I receive 80%. Oh. Well, then why didn't you say that?
Let me in
because
on the
you've been living in Detroit, fucking about your fucking Maine.
Right.
Y'all fucking a realtor.
That's a realtor. She right. You selling real estate. That's cool. I'm down.
Don't tell me you're a historian.
But don't try to make it
don't
seem
that into
like
nationality.
like my people here, like blacks here. This is what they got you. This is what they got the average black person thinking. They got the average black man and black woman thinking.
I'm with you.
This is what.
Here's the loophole. I'm telling y'all, I'm with somebody that understands a lot of history.
Look at it like this.
It's like being with Floyd Mayweather. You get Birkin bags. I'm with the here. I don't have no Birkin bags yet, but I do have a lot of knowledge that I didn't have to fucking seek out myself. I'm actually with somebody that knows it. That's called benefiting from somebody else's work.
Yeah, just like I benefit all the meals that you have made me over fucking 14 years. I ain't never picked up a plate.
No, but that's not what you do.
Or whatever.
So I knew that. So I knew, based on my cooking skills, and at least I can have somebody talk to me all evening while I cooking dinner.
That's right. You ain't never heard me complain about.
And you ain't never complain about change of story or
and that's what I'm saying, my nigga, and that's what I'm saying.
So that's where we work well. But in doing that, don't think that people throughout the years have been like, I should be let in on that sitcom. I want to watch that show. Well, then pull up a chair and fucking cop a squad and watch the show.
That's my point, though. But this is my point in everything you're saying. It's the fact that it literally is a show. It's a farce. It's people trying to herd my consciousness into a form of marketing to bring more travel and revenue to a part of the world that is basically just as broke as me until they come here. Until the Africans come here. Then they come here. Somehow they got mad bread and set up their own communities, of which we're really not a part of. In every mosque,
it's very cool to see.
In every Sunni mosque,
here the Haitian community is tight, but it isn't as tight as it can be.
Yeah.
It's an illusion of tightness.
It's an illusion of tightness because it's only the Clinton initiative Haitians that's getting broke off. Okay, just like it's only
language.
Right.
So that's why they can consider themselves a community, because at least they can go there and hear their own national language.
And again, Haitians are Americans. They come from the Americas. So they're Americans, just like Cubans is Americans, just like Bolivians and Costa Ricans and Honduras. Everybody's American, but not everybody's a citizen of the United States that sits on top of America. And that's the rub. That's the issue. People don't know there is a difference. So again, man, I don't have no problem in going to Africa and building with the brothers and sisters there and all of that. But I am not going to forsake my ancestors that's from here, that's from over here, to say that their ancestors are somehow greater than mine. when all of these ancestors exist in the same ancestral realm, what modern humans will refer to as the ionosphere. So if they all girdling because they've become ancestors, because they were nobles and shit at one time or whatever, whether they was from over there or over here, then why do I have to forsake everything and everybody that was over here to ally myself with those Moors or those ancestors from over there? Why am I always herded and made to feel that what I am is not enough? The average black man and black woman in this country right now has no understanding of epigenetic transgenerational inheritance, divine proto-human or praetor-human haplogroups. They have no idea. Most conscious people don't even know what I just said. But what I'm saying is, what I'm meaning to say by that is to say that most people don't want to have no real understanding of how real genetics, dominant and recessive genes work. All geneticists and geneticists will tell you that in the end, it boils down to whether the gene is dominant or recessive, period. That's it. That's what makes it either pro or con. In some instances, recessive genes can actually need to be used more than dominant and vice versa. Because this is the third density, so everything works in duality. So nothing is going to be one thing. You don't have one heartbeat, because if you did, you'd be dead. You got to have one followed by another, followed by another, blah, blah, blah. So they got most black people thinking that the so-called black man in America, the reason why he looked or she looked the way that they look now, the ones that's born here on the mainland in America, the reason why that they look like that is because they're really descended from transplanted Africans who were raped by white men. They never talk about the white women, the white slave mistresses that was raping niggas and raping black women. We never talk about them, do we? No, we don't. But anyway, that was raped by white men and renegade Indians, red white men. That created a switch in the gene pool somehow, whatever, and boom, here you are today. That's how me and you look today. So in that, where are you? Where are you? Where is your individual identity in that soup of everybody else's sperm, semen, genetic fluid, or whatever that made you up? Where's the thing that makes us distinctive and our own identity? And if that's the case, why are we vibrationally different than 3 people that allegedly produced us genetically? Anybody got an answer? Anybody know? Every Pan-African I know is from America. The Pan-African is from the 60s. They've been gone. That was people like Barack Obama, Sr., remember? Who was down with the hit allegedly with Patrice Lumumba, remember? Who wound up dead in a car crash, remember? A Kenyan national with a British passport, remember? No, they don't remember. These niggas don't know. That's why history is so important. History, being a natural historian is something I never would have thought. I never even knew existed prior to me doing it. But now that I've been doing it for this long, I'm really starting to see why it's important. And they try to show you in movies like Indiana Jones and National Treasure shit, but most people are not really doing the knowledge to it like that. This thing is a real thing. Our history is a real thing in the world that people have taken blood oaths to kill other people for, even if it's in their own family. So, again, they got us believing that genetically we done been adapted out of the black woman was basically raped. She was African at first, then she was raped by some white man, then that white man alley-ooped her to some renegade Indian, and that produced the African-American male and female. That's how they got you thinking. People believe that, yo. People believe that. People are traveling the world making thousands of dollars for them right now. And then they wonder why they don't look and respect our people in any type of way, because our people have bought into the greatest lie in history. And not only have they bought into it, they have created sleeper organizations of people in their community to keep them asleep, to keep them following the shit, disguising it as knowledge, disguising it as intellectualism. All it is another version of disestablishmentism. That's what it is. They made you believe that, and people would rather support that idea than the idea that you and your ancestors have always been here. If you from Africa like that, why when you do a crime they don't send you back to the country of your origin? Why don't they do that? And if we're African, descent from African like that, then shouldn't Africans from if we are African Americans and we are claiming that we're descendants from Africa, the whole continent of Africa, right? Not nowhere in specific, but the whole continent, right? Shouldn't there be some sort of designation like dual citizenship? Africans then can come over here who are descended from Americans and get a passport or something like that? Shouldn't there be a system like that? Because they do that for Jews. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, they do that for Jews. But see how I just said that? They do that for Jews. What the JDL will do is that they will listen to that part, right? And then based on how I said it, they will basically say that I was implying something about the Jewish race as a people. This is how deep they got. Did you know that Ida B. Wells and W.B. Du Bois was two of the original people on the board of directors that helped finance and set up the NAACP? How do you think she was finding out about all them lynchings when they was happening? How you think? So you tell the truth, you shame the devil. And the real truth of it is nobody wants you to have a nationality. I'm a chairman of a temple, man. Real talk. And I don't have enough help. I got people that's willing to help, but they don't live where I live. That's in the temple that's willing to help do a lot of different shit, right? But guess what? Some of the shit that got to be done can only be done if you here with me right now to do it. So some things that take no time for other people's temples is taking months for mine. Because mine is not structured under the Moorish Science Temple of 1930, 1929, and 1938. Mine is structured under the tenets of the Moorish Science Temple of 1913 and 1928. See that, Morsey? Mm-hmm. I remember this outfit. Yep, we'll get some word on it soon. You know what I'm saying? I gotta almost fly to situations. No. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man. No, I didn't take anything with the video. You know what I mean? So, should we take a time? But based on the climate that has been created around this whole idea of paperwork, my paperwork.
The paperwork going to
paperwork.
Your name is still Jack Sparrow and not Jack Sparrow out.
Exactly.
I don't know if they heard that.
They heard
the paperwork don't really, it's like having a driver's license, but your car isn't insured and your name, the license isn't in your name. So you have a driver's license, but it's your uncle who's deceased. And you still have a license, It's just not mine. It ain't in my name.
Right.
Like, okay, so you have one, but you can't really use it.
Right. So you don't have one.
Right.
You see how the white man do it?
Yes.
That's how the white man talk.
Yeah, but, well, you don't have it.
You don't have it.
Other language I understand, I can't read it.
Mm-hmm. The only person that can in negative adjectives like that.
And negative
is that. No, it's them.
Right.
So when we do it, we are in violation. Courses can only do that. You know what I mean? When we do that, they can hold us accountable for that. Because they know we're better. At least we used to be. Like Cat Williams said, we're better than they are. Yeah. There was a time when we were better than them. Remember when there were certain things that black women wouldn't do? Remember that? Do black women remember that? That you actually had standards and shit at one time. Again, I'm not talking about Asiatic queens, empresses, Moabitesses, sheikesses. I'm not talking about none of that. Goddesses. I'm not talking about that. So if you get offended, then, again, that's on you. Talking to who I'm talking about. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not moving from perspective to perspective. I'm dealing with a specific agenda, and the agenda is the fact that we have totally almost black people will do anything. They'll do anything for money. They'll justify anything now. Anything. You could be caught doing almost anything, and there'll be somebody around you to be like, "Yo, word, nah, they set him up for that." No, not everybody gets set up. Not everybody. Some people are actually working with people. Everybody want to call out agent. Oh, he an agent. He agent. Yo, he agent. Like, word, okay. Well, guess what a secure creditor is? That's an agent. It's a financial agent, but it's an agent all the same. You involved in commerce. That's why you're supposed to have a corporate aspect to deal with these devils. You're not supposed to be dealing with people in your true person all the time. That's why you think if we was in the triple stage darkness 66 trillion years ago, the word ill and bay sound the way that it sound now. It carried the same weight. You wouldn't be even able to hear the infallible name of God at the level we in right now, without your head just literally exploding, your whole body, every atom exploding right now. The closest thing you could get to that is ill or bay. In terms of taking the actual name. But the name is also a title. And according to the United States, Title 13, it says that anybody with that name, which it happens to also be a title of nobility, anybody with a title of nobility in their name or annexed to their name is not supposed to be able to be a citizen of the United States. So by the very act of me having ill and bay on my shit means that I'm not under your jurisdiction. Off the rip. So that means if I get that name and title and customary Muslim law, Muslim customary law headdress or whatever, in meaning I have that's associated with this ID with a fez or a turban or something like that on my head, and I got an ill and bay at the end of my name, that means that this identification that has been given to me is not the identification that means that it's not the identification of a citizen of the United States. It say Department of State on it. It say Florida State on it. But the picture and the name alone takes it out of that specific jurisdiction for the very fact that it's in violation of the Title 13 that says that they can't do it. So that means if they do it and give it to you, what are they doing? They are acknowledging your nationality, birthright, inheritance, and customary usage of all. Right there. Ipso jure. Nunc pro tunc. Boom, right there. That's it. So you are issuing me this as then an American. Because if I'm not a citizen of the United States, then that means I got to be a what? An American. And an American, what makes you that? People don't even know that. The only thing that can make you an American is by declaring that fact. Not necessarily declaring you're an American, but declaring what and who you are. Once that fact is acknowledged and done and put into public law, nobody can act as if it is not done. No state shall make any amendments against the rights and the divine privileges of the free inhabitants. That's another name for you, free inhabitant. Therefore, I am not a citizen of the United States, but you can't send me nowhere because I exist in America. So America is North, Central, and South America. That's America. That's America. That's where I live. The United States is the independent city-state being run out of Washington, D.C. with 50 sub-corporations owned by a private bank. Period. That's it. The slavery system was not invented by the United States. The United States cannot be in the family of nations because the United States and cannot be in what they call it could be under the law of nations, but it cannot be in the family of nations because it is under the family of the Alamarcanos, Estados, the Moors, us. But they got you thinking Moors or Moorish science somehow started with Noble Jew Ali, or worse, that it just means that, you know what I mean, you just somebody out here trying to get money off of people for paperwork. But Moors created that for themselves. So they can't get mad when 85 and other people want to act like they know, because you don't have so many people out here claiming this shit and not even really being that, but making money off it. How you got all these niggas talking all about Moorish science, but not one of these niggas on the tape got a fez on? But then if I say that, I'm hating. Like, no. Let me send you all the emails of people from all over the world, asking me why I'm not in shit. I don't run that. I don't have nothing to do with that or them people. But I told niggas what was going to happen. I told you that shit going to start with Moorish science. That shit's going to end up with some white, Negro, black shit. And didn't it? It has, hasn't it? Yes, it has. So again, big up to everybody involved. I want everybody to promote real knowledge. I want everybody to get exposed on any level to any history other than us being fucking slaves from Africa. If you can indulge anything else, historically wise, I'm down with you indulging anything that's hipping you to that. You know what I'm saying? Because that, in the end, it still does help all of us. So I don't want to seem like I'm just hating on the whole shit. I'm just saying. I even know dirty that could get on there and rock shit better than that. The problem with black people is that they do not and have not consolidated around their own identity. So they've adopted everybody's identity in an inferior status and then made that into what we call hip-hop culture, which is the poor man's Moorish science. That's cool because it's still exposing people to real shit. However, there is something real, and there are real Moors. And when I say Moors, I'm talking about men and women that's putting in major work, man. But you'll never hear about them because they got sense enough not to be on all this bullshit, not to be out there amongst these masses. You know what I'm saying? Engaging in shit that has nothing to do with where we are all really trying to go. Striving to go. So if the average black man and black woman believe that the only way they're going to have straight hair for their baby is to have a baby with a white man or a Spanish man, they already done. They gone. They gone unless they bring themselves back. It's not your role or my role to stop anybody from being a slave that don't want to be a damn slave. That's why they don't like Moors. I think I said that before, but it's true. That's why they don't really like Moors. Because Moors be walking down the street and see somebody get brutalized, be like, wait a minute. Peace. Like, what's going on? Like, blah, blah, blah. Yo, stay out of this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I'm just trying to find out if the brother well, this man did this, and that, and blah, blah, blah. Are you in your project? Do you know you are? Are you doing it? Okay, well, do what you got to do. So somebody from one of the other so-called communities may come through like, oh, see, that's whack. We all supposed to rise up and stop them and blah, blah, blah. When the last time you seen police going in on somebody in the hood and everybody in the hood rolling up on the police and shutting them down? When the last time you seen that? You ain't see that. If you see that more, you'll have less for it. But niggas ain't going to do that. And I'm not even promoting that people should do that in the climate that our people are in mentally. These niggas will set you up for the fall, man. You be ready to go marching and do this and blah, 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 and you show up at City Hall or whatever, you be the only one there. That shit has happened to me and Selena many a time with some of the most radical niggas. You know what I'm saying? Radical. These niggas bitch up when the shit go down because it's something more than that to this. It's about being preemptive, establishing your shit beforehand, which is what those of us that's really doing the work are striving to do. We all got to get our individual status enough and right enough to be able to do that. I be speaking to boys every week. Tell me how they got this collective, they want to do this, they got this popping, boom, boom, boom. That's all great, but we ain't all in the same territory, number one. And number three, how are we all going to link all of this up? When you got these niggas that's under this one who is really a part of this order, right, that's really under this CIA out of this mosque, you see what I'm saying? Every Sunni mosque in the United States since 9/11 got a CIA desk in it. Just keep it real. That's why I can't really, you know what I'm saying? Can't really rock with certain shit because, again, man, they have militarized the religion. You know what I'm saying? They done militarized the religious aspect of human life, man. So you got niggas killing for ideologies. This is the state of man. Excuse me, mankind. So you have an obligation not just to die for the truth, but to live for the truth, man. Everybody willing to die. Who's willing to live through this shit, man? Who's willing to live to the other side of the thing? It's hard. That's why I presume to know all the answers or give you all of them. That's regards to who or what and how many people may want shit and secretly want you to be a martyr. You better not be. Nobody but yourself. The only prophet that was born to like that was Isa, Yehoshua, Emmanuel, Eosus, Jesus. Jesus. And he was the Son of God. See, one thing I'm understanding about Moor science, too, is that when you are Moor, you can entertain the wildest possibility and bring it together in a cohesive manner and give it physical form and life. Especially if you were Moor, I think, that came out of sciences like the Nation of Gods and Earth. More so than the Nation of Islam. The brothers gonna work it out. They gonna find them. They going. I mean, they in it thick now because they've been signed over to the Scientologists and all that. But don't think that every FOI and everybody, every minister in that is all down with all that shit that the niggas is doing, man. Not everybody's down with that, but they got a tight grip on their organization because they have shown and followed the degree of Yaqub. He did not build prison houses for their people. So your Nation of Islam don't build prison houses for its people. They get people out of prison, and if you violate, they put you in the ground. That's it. That's it. So I'm not going to say that they wrong or right for that. That's how they run their nation. But their nation is supposed to be the so-called army for the Moorish Science Temple. But instead, they've been signed over through Prince Hall to do business for the Department of Defense. And the Scientology thing is really a cover for the Golden Dawn to get in there. And the Golden Dawn was based on the Moorish Science Temple. Or what would be the Moorish Science Temple, where at the time that the Golden Dawn was founded, they based it on the Ahmadiyya movement. That's why you have a Moorish Orthodox Church, which is filled with nothing but so-called Templars and white Freemasons. So, in doing it this long and seeing what's going down and shit, I've come to the assessment and the realization that most people that listen are not really contributing to anything that we're doing in a positive way, especially financially. Because I'm not selling knowledge. The DVDs that you see on my website and all of that are archival purposes. So I'm not always going to be out there giving you new DVDs and shit like that, because I didn't get in this to do DVDs. I didn't even realize that this was even something I was going to do to a certain point. You understand? This is not something that I even was like, oh, word, I've been watching tapes all these years, I want to get in to do this. This was shit that I was already doing. And somebody said, hey, you know what? Come in and do this on tape. You dig? So, again, sometimes Allah puts us where we think we know what we're doing, but then it be something. And then there are those of us that fight against that, and then there are those of us that accept that. I'm somebody that accepts it. So in accepting, I know that there's going to be a certain ostracization that's going to happen, because there's certain things that people just automatically know off the rip I'm not going to do. But the things I won't do are the things that some people want me to do the most. You see? So I've had people from all over the country. Yo, I want to bring you out here. We're going to do it this date, blah, 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 blah. These niggas never call me back. You understand? But again, if I was a egomaniac, if I was in this for certain things, then, you know what I'm saying, every other day you'd be seeing some shit. But I can't do that. I haven't figured out how to be in the real world, right, while at the same time be in the virtual world. We have to. We are. That's the beauty, again, of the Moorish Science Temple. The beauty. I'm answering something Selena said.
I'm saying that a lot of people state that, the groups get tainted very quickly. And the group that we created was just me, Aseer, and the two people that we knew that lived here in Miami that have wanted to be a part of something and that became something greater. But real talk, that's exactly why it's so great that you could still rock your own, and based on you nationalizing and us just stating that we're a part of the same umbrella. You can hold your own umbrella in your own state.
So long as it's the same flag, we all good. And that's how it's supposed to rock. In Chicago, they'll say Joe. You know what I mean? It was always Mo, and then it went to Joe. Hey, what's up, Joe? Yeah, Joe. I'm gonna go check Joe. But that came out of Mo. You see what I'm saying? But where this region says fly, this region is gonna say, oh, that's dope or whatever. We all not supposed to do that. The beauty of the Moorish Science Temple, when you really are functioning under a home office, home rule thing, is the fact that the basic tenets of it have already been established. So everybody, whether you like a group or not, everybody who's anybody wants love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, unless you're a devil. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're that. So I'm saying that this man kept the thing so rudimentary that it becomes individual based upon the fact that after he nationalized by filing we nationalized, and then him filing the whole thing into the Torrance title system the way he did, that made it possible not only for everything from Alaska to Chile to no longer be the United States of America and United States of America. The whole thing is the Moorish Science Temple of America. And we, being his beneficiaries, individual temples, our physical body, which is the temple of God, then can and create physical artifices, three-dimensional physical artifices that we agree is a temple, that our physical temples now can go into and then commune together. This has never happened. Like you can't do this. Doesn't happen, and it's happened in such a subtle way. See, black people is expecting some big, marching band or some giant sign shit. I don't know, man. We're waiting for some epic proportional thing to happen. And while we're waiting for that, incrementalism is creeping up on us, breaking everything down. You know what I'm saying? So I agree. If I couldn't see with my own eyes see what the work was left for us to do, and then actually implement and see how it's worked or is working for me and then other people, I wouldn't be messing with this in the so-called temple fashion, because really, as somebody even in the temple, with a temple, I don't believe that all Moors should be Moorish Science Temple of America. Because whether they are or they aren't, they are. I know a lot of Moors right now. Mm-hmm. High functioning out here with no temple card. Improper person, all that. And that's dope. I just know, and I was one of them, until we was like, okay, well, we have understanding enough wherewithal based upon what we've done to understand how it can work to a certain degree. However, to make this thing work, we can't necessarily, you got to keep the tenets same, but we can't work it the way these other people have been working their thing. So long as we're not in violation of any of the tenets and all of that, and we have somebody who can vouch for us as a Supreme Grand Sheikh, as a study group, that, like, there's a protocol to all of this. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't come in. And in the protocol and understand how the protocol worked and then implement and see, it gave me a respect for the fact that this was black people that created all of this. Compared to a book on the Panthers that was written during the time that the Panthers were actually around and alive and shit. And look at the difference. Moore told me he got a Quran from Moore Circumcision from 1926. Said every word in this shit is the same as the one that's being reprinted and printed today. The basic doctrines, the divine constitution Bibles of the Moorish Science Temple, whether we get along as Moors or whatever or not, has not changed. Think about how many movements then came and gone since then. So I'm not trying to put nobody movement down. I'm just saying that all of these other movements was created to take us away from fortifying one or the one that gave us not only our birthright, nationality, and heritage, but our own distinctive identity, culture, habit, and customary law. And would then evolve or go into language, which then would allow us to really access the international aspects of who or what we are, as we always been, which is then reconsolidating or reclaiming the empire. We're basically Klingons, right, living in Galactic Federation territory. That's what we are. We're the Klingon Empire, and it's now got to work with the Federation, Kirk and them. And we like, why would I work with this nigga when our people set all this shit up? And when you look at the Klingon culture and all that, aside from all the war shit and all that, they all black people. They black Syrians or black Draconians, basically. The black Syrians is different. In the new Star Wars, when they show you the Klingons, those are actually Syrians. The ones that we used to see on TV, those are the black, like the ones from like Orion and Draconis, those type. But again, eels and bays, all the same, with their own language, distinctive nationality, red flag, right? So like I'm saying, man, it's all basically boiling down to that and understanding that, these things that are happening in the community, the brother getting caught up. We want to give respect and love and light to him and his family and hope that he gets out because he's a really good brother. He used to sell a couple of me at next to Brother Rich downtown. He was one of the first people to sell a couple. One of the first books, which was the Cosmogony and comic books, and he sell it right there in BK, man. I want to definitely give love and light to him and his family. Really. You know what I mean? So I'm just doing the knowledge to how all of this is, again, playing out. And people will become awakened to the fact that we are not what they have been saying that we are. We are our own people. But see, the thing is, all of the discoveries and stuff that's being put out there with us is coming from two elements, either the divine element within the culture that's trying to promote and have our own identity, or that element that's still trying to get us to circumvent our original tendencies to be to ourselves and adopt everybody else's culture. Everybody else don't want to claim us, though. So we keep wanting to be claimed by all these other people, and all these other people is looking at us like, okay, nigga, but where's your raps? Where's your basketball? Where's your drugs? Where's your crack? Where's your bitches? You understand? We have made ignorance an art. The ignorant smart. Now, with work, they make the smart ignorant. You understand? So, like I said, man, right now anything is acceptable. You can be a poet. You can be anything. And be conscious now. And put some metaphysical spin on it, and it's cool. Anything. I've heard the wildest shit recently. But, again, I'm an observer like you. I'm not going to engage people who obviously are mentally ill in some sort of public debate to try to prove something to them. I'm not at that stage of my development anymore in the fact of trying to show and prove that the Moors, or show and prove that the black man, or show and prove that the white man. Nah, man. None of that's real. None of that is actually concrete in anything. All of that is more me subjugating myself to more and more rhetoric that has nothing to do with the outcome of us getting where we want to go as a people. Sorry, I'm eating again. So the element of surprise in the community where people are being exposed and put out there like that, that happens in every people before the actual Civil War that actually brings them together. So all of this stuff that's been happening has been reminiscent of the Civil War that we've been fighting against each other. since before 1655. Like that story I told you about Anthony Johnson, that happened in 1654. There was no United States at that time. There wasn't even no British colony at that time. Not like it was in Amsterdam. This is before Dred Scott. This is before the Revolutionary War. This is before the Declaration of Independence. This is before, like I said, the Dred Scott case. This is before the Secretary of 1666. This is before the Articles of Corporation of 1774. This is before everything. And what do we have? 3 black men who are American, basically, who with one of them, based on his greed or whatever the issue was, that he wanted to own this man, set up a chain of events that changed the actual complexion of how everything was done. You know what I'm saying? Created a system by which the complexion of the entire country was to be changed through slavery. And those who were slaves at the time were now free and put in position to basically administrate this transition. So this don't absolve the white man for all the things he's done in the world. It's done in the world. Eve just married the billionaire white man. She pulled the Tina Turner. And that's cool, you know what I mean? She's in love with him, but as a Scorpio, I get the pictures and I see something totally different. You know what I'm saying? I see it for what it really is. I don't see it for what people want to see it as. And beyond the whole fact of him being whatever, I mean, are you really surprised that a stripper, somebody that didn't value themselves, who constantly exposed herself in a negative sexual way, I would think, in certain instances. I mean, she came up, you know what I'm saying? She got money. She's secure now, you know what I mean? What, I'm supposed to entertain another album by her now where she's talking about a nigga, I'm a nigga and no bitches can do this or whatever, meaning black women can do this. I'm supposed to, see, I come from an era where we looked at, music as had to be something about it, even if the most was fake. There was something about it that was real, and that's what brought me to it. So when I see somebody like this and, in her new status position and all that, that doesn't surprise me. What's the funny thing is going to see all the other people that's going to try to co-sign, like when Bieber came out calling everybody niggas and shit, like we told people on Super Heru he was going to do. Once they mess with him too much about being around niggas, all the Negroes jumped and said how much of a black man he was and how he was young and this and that. They gotta do that. Niggas support this dude like he's, big homie and all that. And like, that's cool. I guess he's talented, all the girls love him and stuff, that's great. But as an agenda, if he'd have just said nigga and stuff like that, that's cool. You know what I mean? I say nigga too, right? But the whole little song he did about how all he has to do is kill you. You know, if I just kill you, nigga, I'll be able to join the KKK and all of that. Like, that's the shit that I'm talking about. The type of black that this white man wants is the ultra-cultural type black woman with her own hair and all of that, manhood, the street and all of that. You know what I mean? And maybe has black baby, like a little infant, not like an older kid. Older kid would have to go, but like the black infant or whatever, and then pregnant with his seed, or whatever, who you know, be down with old Nazi shit. That's the whole, to be able to have her support him, hang niggas, kill black babies and stuff like that. That's the type of black woman he wants. And that's the type of black woman that he's created. She's here, guys. I don't know if you noticed. She's here. I just read about, like, this is what's going on. And I see black women rising up against that. Or women who refer to themselves as black. I don't see them really dealing with that aspect of it. I see a lot of the opposite. A lot of the obvious, you know, we got to unite, you know, end Father's Day, you know what I mean? Destroy the patriarchs, you know, hate men, hate this, hate that. You know what I'm saying? I understand, you know what I mean? But all these chicks that's pumping this got kids. So you didn't hate the nigga enough to have the baby. And so I'm supposed to believe that every black man, everyone is that beat, everyone is not there because they don't want to be. Just like I'm supposed to believe that every black woman is a good mother. That's how I'm supposed to. That's how I'm supposed to look at shit. That's how I'm supposed to accept the reality. You know what I mean? Like, it's not real. It's not realistic, man. We're being herded into an idea of ourselves instead of being ourselves. And it's killing us. It's extincting. So as I see it, most of the people around us that look like us is already gone. Just like in what Sophia Stewart wrote in The Matrix and what I wrote in The Dark Scope 418. All these people are gone. There's no reconciling how, you know, things are going to work out, you know, the kumbaya phase where we all realize that, you know, I guess what, we all supposed to realize that the white man's the devil and that he's tricked us all these years and now we have to rise up with the same epiphany and then we all just overthrow everything. Like, that's how we think it's supposed to happen? That's how you think it's going to go down? You know how many black people, period, are going to fight tooth and nail to maintain the United States? See, people got it twisted. People think that the whole war, the whole United States thing is going to be the United States against the world. No. No, the world is going to take advantage of the United States going to war with America. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And then the rest of the world is going to come and help America against the United States. You see what I'm saying? That's what's going down. You know what I'm saying? They've already got their bunkers. It's all scripted. It's already done. They've already got their bunkers. They've already got their you know, food supply for at least 20, 25, 50 years. You know what I'm saying? They've already got the smart cities along the coast worked out how they want to do it. You know? They got all of that. You know? But none of that has anything to do with you realizing who the hell you are. What they want to do today, citizens, don't have nothing to do with you. If you know that, if you know the difference between who and what you are, if you know that you were made in the image of God and that you can't be a piece of paper and a human at the same time. You could be a human holding a piece of paper, but you can't be a piece of paper. A piece of paper can't say that you do this or do that. We all from the street, man. Like, we don't believe in Like, I didn't believe in paperwork and none of that shit back in the day. Like, growing up, when people were talking to me about it, I was strictly what I realize now in the metaphysical thing. And I was very militant and angry and hateful against the white men and the people who supported him, who I started to realize were really mostly black people. You know what I'm saying? Really. What more science did was that it gave me world history in a proper context. And then in delving deeper into the moral science of the temple, meaning understanding how the temple was set up and what the climate was around the moral science temple at the time coming up, and where this man traveled and the things that he did and what actually laid the foundation of the stuff that works today. I just sent somebody an ecclesiastical way of reform, and I don't have no problems. Because no United States government can make a law or determination towards the true religion. Because the United States was not founded as a Christian country. It says that in the Treaty of Tripoli. They call our ancestors that set up the fundamentals of the law and all that, people who taught Ben Bay and these people, call them the sages, the ancient sages of American jurisprudence. That's what they patterned the whole old Washington and all that stuff on. And then, like I said, there was a great whitewash. Everything got whitewashed, man, because everybody found themselves under the gun or under the threat of slavery. Well, you wasn't even you was a free man. You even had nothing to do. They'll still bag you up because it became an agenda. Once the Wilmington race riot started, it started where? In Wilmington, Virginia, right? Where they was enslaving white men on the tobacco plantations and all of that. Wilmington, Virginia. And it went all the way and culminated in what happened at Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So while the Moors was away fighting the Spanish-American War, they come back home, all of their lands and all that is seized. Throw out to you.
A lot of paperwork that you just have on here that I don't need. Can you tell me what I can delete so I can do my work?
Okay. Let me. Okay.
So when you're done, you can watch it. I have to delete files, and I deleted around 6 video files.
Okay.
I'm asking you.
I can do it as soon as I get off the phone. Can I just get off the phone and then do it? I just don't want to throw anything away. I just there's certain things that I have. So it's just become a situation where we have to declare who and what we are, or because that automatically says what we aren't. And if we aren't involved in certain things, then those things can finally be gone. But the lack of declaration is what has kept everybody in perpetual bondage. So the process by which claiming one's identity becomes obscured by those who have been paid to steer most of us away from doing that properly. So these things have become almost instinctive. This chattel slavery it was putting everybody through only lasted 85 years. Yet it was so brutal and so all-inclusive that there was nobody that in a sense wasn't affected by it. But it became to the point where that's the only thing that white people at the time that lived could deal with, because that's the only thing everybody was talking to them about. How were you able to enslave all of these people in their own land? and then be okay with it. And then use that to break down all the other people that they used to protect. So like I said, there is a definite manifest way to get everybody's destiny fulfilled. It's just that we got to be real where everybody at and not expect everybody to get there based on some kumbaya false reality. We actually got to do the work. So anybody want to holler at us, hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. And you could also check out www.cordobaorganics.com. So check out www.aseertheducateers.com. Check out the Team Cordoba album on iTunes under the name DS418, the group Team Cordoba. And anybody wants to send any donations, you can do so to dukeoftears@gmail.com. Again, at houseofl@hotmail.com for any lectures, bookings, tarot readings, tutorial sessions, book signings, lectures, workshops, whatever. Hit me up. And look out for Truth Be Told on YouTube, hosted by CE10K, that's Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years. Me as the guest host. And like I said, man, get right. Everybody that's not right, strive to get right, man. As right as you can, at least. And inshallah, it's a way for us to move. No, you can throw it out. No, I need that. Yeah, I do. I need a template. Yeah, all of those, that's the file document. I need all this shit in. I'm gonna get some right now if you just let me get off the phone. So with that, peace. Again, if you want to send donations, do so at dukeoftears@gmail.com, or if you want to hit me up, hit us up, Selena, or whatever, houseofl@hotmail.com. Again, it's dukeoftears@gmail.com. All right? Peace.